Okay, so this tutorial is to cover the creation of GIS data in ArcPRO using a schema document developed by DCR GIS, and how to create data from a schema document in Excel straight into ArcPRO. So we're going to start with ArcPRO, which I've just opened up. I had to sign in. If you're not already signed in, you want to sign in here. I think you just go to portal map, maybe sign in. I'm not sure. For me, I sign in. Oh, I think it's over here. You go to portal or you go to your computer, one of these two places to sign in. Most people, I think, will need to sign in just to get it started at the DCR. This is a simple map. I actually don't even need this right now. The only thing we're going to be doing in ArcPRO is if you go to the View panel, menu choice, there's a Python window. You pop open so that it shows up down here. You can expand it a little bit. And this is actually where we're going to be running our Python code, in this line right over here. So in the process of creating GIS data, I'm going to do an example where in the DCR, where we have backing up, we're going to create data from a schema that we have built for a GIS data set to represent lighting cabinets, and that resides currently in SharePoint. So I'm going to go to SharePoint right now and drag this onto my screen. I'm going to navigate to two files. One is the sample schema, and I'm going to open it in Excel. I don't want to open it in the browser. And now I'm going to drag this onto the screen. So this is the DCR schema document that we use to handle our workflows, where we go right through to laying out a model for what our data set might be part of, the workflow, how are we going to use this data set to achieve our purposes. This is the schema where you could have multiple tabs, each of which describes one particular data set. This is where we lay out each one of the attributes or the fields of the data, and we specify what the name of the field is, what it's for, a shorter description maybe if you want to use it in field maps, an alias of the field. So this would be how it's actually created versus the alias, what kind of field it is, if there's a default value or not. Workflow kind of things, like who's going to enter this? Is this in the field? Is it at the desktop? A couple of fields to help you if you're doing field maps, like what kind of conditions you might want to put into field maps, which is an app developed by ESRI to do mobile data collection, whether it's a required field or not in field maps when you're configuring your field map smart form. Down the line, so this is supposed to see through the whole life cycle of a data set. So it starts when you're deciding that you need to create a data set. This is where you do all your planning, but it goes all the way through to your data set is now complete, and maybe you're deciding to make a public view of it or to make it public in some way. This is where you decide what fields you share publicly versus privately. For each field, if it's a domain field, this is where we put down what the different domain values would be. And so we use this document as a planning tool, as a command central. And if anyone's interested in getting this, you can email the DCR GIS. You can email DCR GIS. This is my email, Chandreyee.Lahiri@mass.gov, and I'm happy to forward this to anybody who needs it. Other components of the spreadsheet, the schema spreadsheet, is cheat sheets to help you fill out certain fields. And then these are actually the really important tabs, where all I've done is I've taken the real simple ArcPy code that you can run in this window down here. And these code snippets will run all the tools that you can access through a toolbox in ArcMap. So go back here. So the thing that I'm going to go over today is, since in a regular workflow, you would have planned your data set in a spreadsheet like this. How would you go about creating that data? Like, imagine you have 30 fields in here, and some of these fields have domain lists that are 20 codes long. The normal way of doing it is you would go into ArcPRO, you would pop open the catalog, here, the catalog view, or the catalog pane. The catalog pane is this little nested thing right here. I've got it pinned right now. That's what opens this up. You would create your file geodatabase, and you would create your feature class. You would add fields one by one and add the domain codes one by one. This method makes it a lot easier, makes it a lot more foolproof, no typos, and you can go straight from this to actually creating data here. Which then the third step would be to publish it to ArcGIS Online if you needed to, or it could be something for desktop analysis. I'm a little lost as to where I am. There we go. So this is the blank spreadsheet that we're going to base it on. I'm going to minimize this right now, because what we're going to do is, this example today is going to be to create a data set for a schema that has already been developed for cabinets data sets in the street lighting project. So that's the schema document. I'm going to go ahead and open it. And I'm going to shut this down because we don't need this right now. This is the schema document. This is not that, oh, this is this blank one that opened up. Let me just take a look. Oops, I think I closed down the one I opened by mistake. Let's try that again. Open an app. There we go. That's the one. So I just want to minimize the number of screens I'm running. There we go. So this is we have two spreadsheets open today. One is the cabinets data. No, this is the blank one. Does it make sense to make this horizontal? I'm going to minimize this for now. Let me make them share the screen horizontally for now, horizontally tiled. And I'm going to expand this so that we get a little familiar. This is what the data, in this particular data set, this is just some data descriptions that I have here, what some terms mean. This is a draft of two different ways I thought of modeling this initially. Do we have a flat model? Do we have a related model? We ended up going with this model. So today we're looking to create this. We're looking to create a point data set that has these attributes in it. It's as simple as that. And some of these attributes have a lot of pick lists. So that's the draft of the model for the data we're creating. And here's the schema for the model, for the data set that we're creating. As you can see, there are how many fields? It looks like we have about, well, however many Y is. It's a bunch of fields. Some of them have long lists of domain codes. Some are shorter ones. So this is definitely a good example for where we don't want to do this manually if we can prevent it. We'd like to automate it. So I'm going to create I already kind of got ahead of myself here. So let me delete this as if I've done no work on this at all. So I'm going to add a new tab. Let me actually delete this tab. And let's pretend we're starting from the beginning. This is a different model. We don't really need this right now. I'm going to add a tab and call it Pi. So I'm going to start by adding the fields. Because you have to first add the field. And as you're adding the field, you can add the domains. And then you're going to add the codes to the domain. I'm going to actually minimize this so we can take a look at the Python code here. What do we have? We have one for adding domains, adding value. Well, we're going to incorporate this into the field. So we're not actually going to need to add the domain separately. And this is the one where we're going to add. So these are the two in the schema document is this code block that we need. So so my first step is to add fields. So I'm going to go over to this tab here and so the instructions are right in here, how to do this. Make a copy of this worksheet in this workbook, rename tab and name as preferred. So let me do that right in the beginning. I'm not going to do the instructions. I'm going to go from here, and I'm going to go all the way down. I highly recommend that you copy these 1, 2, 3, 4, actually the first 5 lines, only because these cover a range of field types that might interest you. Double, you need for X and Y coordinates, text, because we have a lot of text fields typically, and date. So there's a lot more in this, well, actually there's not a lot more in this example, that's all there is. So I'm going to do Control C to copy it, minimize this, expand that. This is my add field, and see I took it from the add fields in the other one. I'm going to do a Control V. See how these got very skinny? I'm going to select all these fields by clicking and dragging on this gray column part. And now I'm going to right click and say column width. Is 20 too big? No, 20 isn't too big. And that way they're just slightly bigger. And then you see how there's all this blank space here. Since everything is selected, everything is not selected. I have to click here to select in this corner, to select the whole spreadsheet. Now if I double click on this little line that separates the 2 rows, that should resize everything to fit. Yeah, and that looks good. So I've copied everything, but let me go back and read my instructions. The first step was make a copy of this worksheet in your workbook. Delete existing values in columns, field name, and alias. So that's here. So here, these are the field names that I had in this test data. This is just a sample from some other data set. So what we're going to do next is delete existing values in columns, field name, and alias. So this is where we are. We're kind of off to the races. So how this works, to do a simple example right from the top, this is the syntax. When you, in ArcPRO, if you were to go to the toolbox and look for the add field tool, this is one way that you could add a field, right? You could say that the parameters that you need to input in order to add a field is what table are you adding this field to? What is the name of the field? What type of field is it? How long will it be? If it's a text, you'd have to put the length. If it's a double, you'd have to put precision and scale. What kind of alias do you want? Is the field nullable? Is the field, I'm not sure what the field is required. It's to ensure that you have to enter stuff in this field to move on. I haven't been using this so much. I do it on the field maps, but feel free to play with it. And then the field domain. Is there a domain that will be assigned to this field? And then if so, you go ahead and do it. So these parameters, you can use this tool to do it, but when you run this tool, there's some Python code that runs in the back end. That is what is this. It literally, every time you run that tool, it executes this line of code in Python. So instead of repeatedly doing this over and over and over again, there's a similar tool for domains, right? Create a domain, add codes to domain. It's repeatedly. Instead of doing that, we're going to make it easier. So what we're going to do is exactly these parameters. We're going to feed into this line. This line, arcpy.addField_management. This basically runs that same tool that we would have run to add a field. And our job is to fill in these blanks. What is the in table? What is the table that you're going to add the field to? What is the name of the field? What is the type of the field? If the curly brackets means that these are optional fields. So for field type, if you said it's a double type of field, what is the scale of the field? What is the precision of this field? The precision basically means what is the total number of characters that can go into this field, or numbers that can go into this field, and the scale refers to decimal degrees. Point, how many numbers will come after the point if it's not a whole value or an integer value. If the field type that you've picked is a string type, which is basically, I was just going to show you that in the blank, in the domain thingy, in the blank schema document where all these instructions are, on the schema page, if you scroll down to the bottom, it gives you a list of all the field types that you can use. Text, long, short, double, date, and a GUID kind of field, which is what you use to create relationships for and various other things for ArcGIS Online. So this is where you get an option of what you should use here. When you specify field type, it comes from this list, which you can find online. If you ever just Google GIS data field types ESRI, or that should give it to you. So yeah, so our job right now is we're going to run this line of code for as many times as it takes until all of these cabinets fields, sorry, this is the cabinets data set, until all these fields have been added to our data set. So what I've done here in this spreadsheet, so this is the actual line the tool runs, but these are two lines that you need to run first. And when I say run, I mean this is what we're going to type in over here. So your code block will start with this line, import ArcPy. Next will be ArcPy.end.workspace, which actually is going to point, if you look at this example, to the geodatabase that I've created. And once it points to the geodatabase, this line just needs, this line is what going to be the third line. So line number 1, number 2, line number 3 will be as many of these as I need. And here's a sample of a text, a date, and a double. So the workspace, I've given the path to my geodatabase. And in the add field management, look, here's the name of the data set, which lives in this geodatabase. Here's the name of the field. Here's what type of field. It's a text field, so I don't have to do the field position. And each one of these lines up with these arguments. The first thing is in table. The in table is PG name. The next thing is a field name. The in table is this one. Field name is this one. Field type is this text. You see the next two are precision and scale. You can completely skip this, or you can just do blank, double quotes with nothing in it. Because the precision and scale only applies to if you have a double type. So see this one, this line where the field type was double. I spelled out the precision and the scale. I left the third thing blank because the third parameter was field length, which only applies if you have a text field. So for this text field, I left precision and scale blank because of course it doesn't have any, and I made the field length be 1000. The next thing is alias. So I said PG name. The next thing is, should the field be nullable? I really don't care. I left it. These are all optional. You can just leave them blank. And then finally, the field domain. This is the name of the domain. So you could just do this manually by hand and type it out. What I've done in this worksheet that I've automated this just a little bit. So the first instruction in this here, right? The add fields. This is the blank one? Yeah, add fields. It says delete existing values in columns, field name, and alias. Replace feature class name in beginning column. Hit Control H. So I'm going to show you what this means. So this field down here, let me explain this one first. So this is the line of code that we're going to run. So I need to create all these lines of code for our data. So what we need to do here is we're going to replace all these field names with these field names. All the field names we have across here. But before we do this, remember that we have to specify a geodatabase, and we also have to specify a feature class that lives in this geodatabase. So your first step is actually going to be in ArcPRO to go ahead and make this data set. So let's go back to the catalog pane. when you pop that open, this should open up. I'm going to go to my folders. Now I am not connected. I just started up ArcPRO. It's newly installed on my computer, so I do not have a connection to my folder yet. I wonder if I should just do it in my temp one for now. Or I think what I do here, I'm just going to ask for forbearance if I make mistakes here, but I think all I have to do is link to a folder because I would like to do it in the right place. So I think I go to the folders and I do the add folder connection. And I'm going to direct it to, I think this PC. Oh, it's actually not seeing my OneDrive. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to have to figure this one out later. I'm going to connect it to a folder called Telecommute Files, Projects, New Folder, Cabinets, and say OK. So now under my folders, this folder showed up. It's on my hard drive. And then I'm going to go in here. Oh, I'm sorry. So step one is to create my geodatabase. Right click. I should be able to say new. I should be able to say file geodatabase, which is the type of data set I want to make. And it gives me a chance to rename it. And if you accidentally miss it and hit enter, no problem. You can go back, right click, and say rename. Do not override the GDB part of it. I'm going to call this DCR or light cabinets. There's my geodatabase. In this geodatabase, I'm going to right click again because it's empty right now. What you do at the geodatabase level, I'm going to actually have to create my domains. So we could run code to create the domains also through code, but we don't have so many. So let me go ahead and create the domains now. Do I want the blank one? No, I want this one. I want the one that has been developed for cabinets. So I'm going to go to the model schema. Here are the names of all the domains I need to create. So bear with me for a minute while I do this. So municip is one. So the domains are created on the geodatabase level. I'm going to right click, go to domains, and I copied from there so that there will be no problems later on with typos. Names of MA towns and cities. And the only thing I have to specify here is what kind of field will it be. Let me quickly refer back to this. This, it says pick list and I can see their letters, so I know it's a text kind of field. So I have to make sure that the domain is a text kind of field because otherwise I cannot apply it to this field, which when I make it in a later step, it's going to be text. So your domain type has to match your field type, which makes some sense, right? If you create a number field, how are you supposed to put text into a number field? It doesn't work like that. So the things I have to specify that it's a text field, it's going to be coded value, which is the only thing you can have with a text field. The split and merge policy is default, is fine. Let me go make a couple of more. Let's make county be the next one. And then I'm just going to copy this and just call this counties. That is also text. Am I correct? Yep. Electric utility company. It's not going to be able to have a dot here or here. That is a typo. But that is the name. And you can see in this case, I've made the domain names match the field names exactly. And we're going to just go with these three for now. Names of electrical utility companies servicing DCR streetlights. That's because that's what it has. That's what this project is about. And again, it's a text. So I'm going to let it be at this point. But let me see. Are there any other super interesting ones to do? Okay, let me just do one more. What does that? What does power feed actually mean? There's a description here, which is very convenient because I don't always know the data. Oops. I'm going to go in here, copy that. It doesn't have to be a question. And it's also text. I'm done with adding domains for now. I have to hit save so that it applies these changes to this geodatabase. So the geodatabase I think of as, it's almost like a folder. It's a holder of data sets. I'm sorry, I'm just going to check messages real quick to make sure none of you have any questions. No. If you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself, or just, I've got Teams open. You can text me there. Okay, so we have successfully created a geodatabase. It is a holder of data. Our actual data set has not yet been created. So that's the next step. I needed to add domains that I will assign to fields I make in a data set, but now I actually have to make the real data set. So to do that, I'm going to right click on the geodatabase since that's what's going to hold the data. I'm going to go back to new. And this time I'm going to create a feature class. And now let me go and see. Did we say what we wanted to call this data set in this schema table? Looks like we want to call it electrical cabinets. So we try to map every last detail in this schema document. By we, I mean it's the person doing the GIS and the subject matter expert who's guiding us on how to develop the data. So I'm going to paste this in here, but spaces are not allowed. So I did not want to put in the whole thing, electrical cabinets. So the name cannot have spaces, the alias can. So I just copied and pasted that, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and I put a little space in there. What is the feature class type? I know that it is point, not a multi-point, which is a whole different beast. It's just a point. Of course, the data set can have multiple points, but it's a point type of data set. I do not need to use Z values. And when this is done, yes, please add it to my map. There's a nice little wizard here. Hit next. And this next is where you could go start adding your fields. But we're not going to do that. We're going to do that using Python and Excel later. So I'm going to skip that. Just say next. You could import it from I wonder if you could import it from an Excel spreadsheet. That would be interesting. Would prevent us from having to do this. To be noted and investigated. The next thing is, what is your spatial reference? Some people do it to a geographic coordinate system if it's intended for ArcGIS Online. I tend to just do it to the Massachusetts projection system, which is projected state plane. DCR people on this call, please correct me if I make a mistake here. No, that seems wrong. Net 83, this one. I misclicked. Jenna, am I correct? Thank you. Okay. And then I want to go down and find Massachusetts. There are two entries for Massachusetts. One is, they look very similar, but this one's got the words ISL in it for islands. And I think that means Nantucket and Martha's Vineyards. I'm not sure, but we do the mainland is what MassGIS uses, and we stick to that. So that's the projection system that this data set will have. Next. I just always accept the defaults, default tolerance. The next is decreasing. Nope, you can accept the default here too. I accept the configuration here, and now just hit finish. So what we did is we created a folder in my hard drive. In the folder, we created a geodatabase, which is a holder for, currently there's only one feature class in it. It is called electric cabinets. This little thumbnail tells you that it's a point type data set. It can contain points. If I go there and look in the properties, well, look, here's what it is. It is a file geodatabase feature class. Here's the database that it belongs to. Here's its name, its feature type. Everything that we just did in that wizard to set it up is all here. Usually before you upload this to ArcGIS Online, you may consider turning on global IDs and attachments. We're not there yet. We don't need to do it. And if you wanted to look at what fields are in it, you would go into the Data Design tab. Look, you can check what domains are associated with it and what fields are in it. So again, right now, no fields are in it. We are going to, you could, just like you had a choice of adding them when you were creating the data set, you have a choice of going to add them here. Click here, add. As soon as you start adding fields, the save will come live and you'll save it and your fields will get saved. But we're not going to do that. We're going to do a shortcut method. So I don't need to go there. But everything has now been set up. Now let's go back to electrical cabinet schema where we're going to be adding fields a little more easily. What we need to do, remember these are the first two lines of code. This one is as is. The second line of code that we need to paste into ArcPRO is going to point us to our workspace, which is the geodatabase. And we have just set this up. See how here it was pointing to K.C. Lahiri, AGOL, blah, 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 and ending with geodatabase. This gives you a clue as to what you're looking for. You're looking for a path that starts with a drive letter. Usually, if it's in OneDrive, it'll look slightly different. And you're looking for forward slashes. The workspace path needs forward slashes, not backward slashes, and it must end at .gdb. The in table is just a feature class name. So let me click back to ArcPRO. And remember, this is the geodatabase. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to right click, go to its properties. How convenient is that? Here is the path to it. And I need to go all the way up to the GDB, Control C to copy it. Please notice that the slashes are backwards, which is how Windows paths always are. And Python does not like the backward slashes. So I'm going to go in here, select this whole thing. You can delete, or at this point, you can just do Control V. I made sure, very, very careful. Yep. You can just delete the whole thing and put in your own double quotes, but I'm just taking the easy way. And I'm going to do Control V. And it pasted in the exact path that I got from here. This is exactly where this one lives. Now, this is not going to work when I put it into Python because the slashes are the wrong way. I can either go in and manually fix this, or I think you should be able to do Control H, which is a find and replace value, a function. I can put in backslash, put in forward slash, and say replace. Now it's wanting to do, it replaced all of these, but now it's wanting to go and replace it in this one, and I don't want that. So I'm going to close it because that's part of my text. But here, it said that it needs forward slash, so this path is done. The first two lines of code are ready. Now we have all those fields to add. I don't want to go through and do these manually, so I'm going to now scroll down to this part. And what this table does is, all it does is it takes this statement, this line of code, and it breaks it up into multiple pieces. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. Keep your eye here. This is the code that we need at the end. This down here is the beginning part. It only goes as far as here, this place right here, to that second. See, it starts with arcpy.addfield_management, addfield_management. Then it goes to this part. Like this is just an example, so it's a different name. So this goes here. It goes to the beginning. It's the beginning part of the code. And all you have to do here is you have to replace the name of the feature class. So right now it says CRI buildings. So let me hop on back to Pro. That's not the name of our data set. This is the name of our data set. I'm going to go into properties because, again, I'm going to make sure I don't misspell this. Wait, where do I see the name of it? Here. I'm going to copy it from here so that it's spelled exactly the same way. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to replace this placeholder name. So we have the first part of our statement. I'm now going to go here, copy that, and paste it over here. This first part is the same for every single line of code. And in fact, this isn't I'm going to need more because I know I have more fields than this, but I'm not going to do it just now. And then from this point onwards, I don't think we need ArcPRO anymore. So let me maximize this. So the first part of this part of this line is done. This part where it says, what is your in table? We just did our in table, which in the sample fields was CRI field observation catch-all. For us, it's electrical cabinets. But the next part, so the next part of this code has been broken up here for you, and the instructions are here. Now we need to put in the field names, and it tells me how to do that. Copy, paste, transpose from schema sheet. So let me hop on over to my schema sheet. These are all the fields I need. Oh darn, look, I said 2 fields. I didn't actually break them out. Because it has lat and long, which I already have here. And is it in the same way? No, this one, I guess they want it to say lat and long. Why don't I leave it to X coordinate and Y coordinate? So this is an example of where I'm going to update my schema on the fly. X coordinate lat. Gianna, can you just confirm for me? Like, this is correct, right? X is lat and Y is long. I always have to check myself. I like lat is Y. Thank you. But we always do X first, right? I'm sorry, I'm getting a colleague to give me feedback, which this recording is not capturing, but I always have to catch myself. The X coordinate measures longitude. You are right. I'm just visualizing a world map right now. Okay. So, but the name of the fields are going to be X coordinate, and that has already been done for us. So I'm gonna just, Gianna, you could correct me later. If you could just send me a text. I think you're right. I think you corrected me correctly. So these 2 field names are the same. So I don't need to copy this. But from here onwards, these are all the field names that I need, right? So I'm going to select all of the fields. Oops. The easier way for me is if I click this button, hold down the Shift key, and use the right arrow key. I find I make less mistakes that way. I'm going to keep going until I reach the end. Now, I have noticed that some of these are struck out. In our schema documents, when we decide to dump a field, we don't delete it. We strike it out and we keep a record of it so that 5 years down the line, we don't somehow try and invent those same fields. We have a record that there was a reason why we didn't go with them. But anyway, for now, I'm going to keep it selected. I'm going to do Control C to copy it. I'm going to go over here. Remember how it says copy, paste, transposed? Now, what transpose does, I'm going to just demonstrate here. When you paste, instead of doing a Control V, if you right click, your paste options have a couple of special paste options. You can go for it here. This one that says transposed, hang on a second, I'm just going to show you. You can even go. Do you see what it does? It gives you a little preview. What I copied was a horizontal list of field names, but when you transpose it, it actually it makes it vertical. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to come here. I'm not going to transpose from here because this is correct. I want it to have, I want these first two fields to stay. Those are the correct names. Let me paste special, transpose. I also want to take away the bold formatting. So I'm going to do Control B. This is the full list of all the field names we need. This is a good time to go ahead and copy these down. Now I know exactly how many I need. These are all the fields that I'm going to have. Look, these are two that I decided to dump. So let me go delete those. We are not creating those fields today or any day maybe. These are all my fields. So the second part of my, second parameter in my add field tool has been done. The third one is the type of field. Now, let me just go back and take a look. I think they're all text, if I'm not mistaken. Some maybe, oh, this one's okay. So it goes double, double, text, 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 text. Ooh, until util account, it's all text. So until this thing called, so what the beautiful part of that is I can just copy this. I'm gonna, I don't want to override the date because I think I have this work has been done for me, right? So I'm not going to redo it. I'm pretty sure that down here I have a date field. So I'm going to put that down here. I think they're almost all text except for a few numbers. What was the utility field? Utility account was a number, right? And remember how in the blank we were told, what is the number field can be a double, a long, or a short. Long and short are also number fields. I just had to remind myself. So I go back to the add field. I know that it's text, text, text until the utility account. And here, I'm still going to just copy this down. Now, this is where it's important to understand how you fill in these gaps. It's not text. I want to make it a short type. So I type in short, and this is where it's important to, let me go back and look here. Field and precision and scale only apply to the double types for coordinates. For instance, coordinates are double types, so that's there. The third thing is for field length, which you do not have. I'm really not sure what to do for this. I'm not sure where to specify what the field length will be. It's probably going to be precision. I'm going to have to look this up later. For short, where do you specify it? Somewhere you do it. Let me see, it's here now. And let's say I'm okay with it being 20 characters long. I'm not 100% sure about this. Oh, and look, this 250 was for field length because this was a text thing before, but there's no, I have to delete that because this is not a, so you do that if it's a text. What is that last one for? The last one is for field required and all that. Field alias, yep. Yeah. I have to check this later. Okay. So this part is done. That's a short type. Let's go back and take a look. Utility. Oh, I think I got this wrong. I think the utility company is text and the number is the one after that. And the plan link is text and the one after the light count. Okay. So I think this one actually goes here. And then the light count is also, right? You know what would be easier is to make, and then this one, these two are text. The plan link is text. Let's go back. Utility feed. So it's all number. Utility account is number. Text, number. And then everything else looks like it's text. Oh, here's another number. Main breaker load is a number. So let me copy that. Main breaker load is a number. And in between, is all text. When is that? Most of them tend to be text, so I'm just putting in the number ones. Main breaker poll. Why don't I just end here? I think everyone gets the gist of it, and I know right at the end of it, or actually no, yeah, I'm just gonna end there. I'm just gonna pretend this is the end of it. I'm gonna delete all these just in the interest of time. And then Ben, you can just do this by yourself later, right? That way I won't have to. Yeah, I'm going to. Sure. So for the recording, I have somebody saying, "Can we see you do one with the domain?" These are going to have domains, so you will see in a minute. So the next thing, so I have copied and pasted here to make sure that every field type has the correct matching. That every field name has a matching field type. So I think I got that correctly. The next thing is the alias. So we're building this up one by one. I see that we haven't, in this particular schema, we have not specified aliases, which means we're just going to go with the field name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, I'm holding down the Shift key and using my arrow to select, Control C. Alias name is exactly the same as the field name, so there you go. This, you don't have to do anything. You just have to copy and paste it for all the fields that you have. So you see how we're building up each line of code. So I can just go here, drag this little anchor and take it down. There we go. Next thing is the domain name. So which one of these has domain names? We haven't filled the domains with domain codes yet, but we want to assign the domain name. So we know municipal, county, and electric utility company have domains. I'm going to copy those, and it's very convenient that they come one after the other. I'm going to go over. So it starts with municipality, right? So none of these are going to have domain codes until I come to municipality. So first let me delete these. These are samples. Municipality. From here on, this one, that one, and that one have a domain code. Again, when I paste, hey, how come it didn't let me paste special? Oh, I lost my selection. I Control C, unless you Control C it to copy it, it won't let you paste. Now when I right click, again, I transpose. It used to be, I'm gonna unbold it. It used to be horizontal as vertical, and I've made it match. Are there any more? I think these are the 3 domains I've already created. So we might have, how far did I go with the fields? Until main breaker load, right? Do any of these have? These 2 also have domains. Instead of going back and adding domains, I'm going to go back and not add fields beyond utility feed, just to make this training not too long. I'm just going to delete these. I'm not going to add all the fields today for this demo here. So if I go as far as utility feed, that's all the domains there are. So today I'm just building the data set until this field. Okay. Yep. So far so good. None of these have domains. You can just keep them blank. Ending is again just the syntax. So there's nothing for you to do here. And it says, actually it should have said copy paste. This should have also said copy paste. I will update the schema document later. Just copy this down. And then over here, all you have to do is you can delete all of these if you want. This holds a function that basically stitches together all of these to create the final line of code. And all you have to do is you have to copy this. You can do it like that, or you can copy it from there and select everywhere, all the places that are blank, and paste it. So right here, you now have the line of code you can run. So you would have to paste the first line, the second line, and this line. And if you did that, you should be able to successfully add this field. But you won't be able to copy it from here. If you copy it from here, what you're actually going to get is this. So do you see how what you see here is not the same as for anybody who's not so familiar with Excel, what you're seeing here is the result of the function. But if you click in this cell, what the cell contains is the function itself. In order to convert this into the lovely line of code that we see here, what you have to do is you have to copy it, do Control C. Over here, you have to right click, and remember how we right click to do transpose before? Instead of that, you want to do values. Now, so here's what it does is instead of copying and pasting this formula, it copies and pastes the results of the formula, which is what we want. So you have to do that for all of this. You have to copy all of these, because each one of these is different, right? It's concatenating. This one will say plan link. This one says utility account. This one says electric utility company. So you have to select all of these fields. You can do them all at one go, right from the top to the bottom. Control C to copy it. Go right to the top, right click, paste special, control values. Now this is all of, and this is going to run off the page because it doesn't have wrapping on. I'm going to wrap it all. Now if you Control C this, oh, whoa, what did I do here? Oh my gosh. Escape. I hit escape and no harm was done. I'm clicking in here. This is still text. These are the lines of text that's going to come one after the other. From here, what you would do is you would count how many. I would go down all the way until here. My count shows 11. I have 11 lines of code. So I'm going to go ahead here and insert enough rows. 1, 2, 4. Control Y in Excel repeats your last action. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. This is getting all messed up. And then I have these two also. Hello. Why didn't that delete? Delete. There. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have plenty of space. So now I can go down here. Click on the first one. Go all the way down to the end. Control C. Take off wrap. And there you have it. This whole thing is the code that you should be able to now paste into the ArcPRO window down here. And if you run it, it should add all those fields to this data set. And to certain fields, it should assign domains. These 3 domains. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I guess we did do the power feed one. Should I go back and add it? Let me just go back and add that field. Now I feel bad. Power feed. Did power feed come after utility feed? It did. So this should be pretty easy to, and it's also text. So here, I had to add this, right, belatedly. All I do is all the other things about it are the same because it's a text field, correct? Yep. It's exactly the same. So I'm just going to go from here to there, copy it, paste it. You don't want to copy and paste that because that's using these 2 field names. So now I want to do one more, Control C, paste special for values, take that, paste it up here, again paste special, which is values, and now I have all of them. So these are all my lines of code. Now before I go ahead and actually add this to ArcPRO, I'm going to make sure that I did this correctly for the number fields. So I'm going to pause the video for a second while I figure this out. Oh my God, you guys, I never recorded. Jana, were you recording by any chance? No. Oh dear. Okay then. That's fine. I'll just do this again some other time. Wait a minute. When I go to close this, it says I am recording. What? I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, no. I'm very confused. I'm going to have to edit this if this is all really being recorded. I'm very confused. Okay, Gianna, maybe I'll just do it with you. Sorry, Ben? No, remember, it's not even an option with Teams. I was doing it with. Oh, I see it. I see it. Oh my gosh, I was recording. Yes. Okay, I think we're recording again. My coworkers and I just did a quick check online, and it looked like this was the correct way to format a number field. So if you have a short number field, the difference between the short number field and this double number field is that the double number field is a number field that is allowed to have decimal places. And because you do need to have decimal places um, in your coordinates. I'm sorry, I'm going to pause one more time because you need 8 decimal. I'm going to pause one more time. All right, I'm back. And just to clarify, there was a little bit of confusion. I apologize for that. I had this set up incorrectly. Latitude and longitude typically needs a minimum of 5 decimal places for accuracy. We like to go with 7 or 8. So the second number over here, which is scale, tells you how many decimal degrees there are, so it should be 8. The precision tells you how many numbers total fit into that field, so it's got to be the 8 that you want for the decimal degrees, plus I think maybe 1 space for the decimal point itself, and then the actual latitude or longitude is typically 2 numbers. At least in the state of Massachusetts, I think it ranges between 72 or 73 for what is it? Latitude, I think, and longitude is 42 or 43, and I might have used those terms incorrectly, but yeah. So I made a mistake there. I have corrected it here. Precision needs to be 12 and the scale needs to be 8. And because I had copied and pasted this over here, I had to actually go and fix it over here too. I have not fixed it here, which is not good for posterity. So anytime you make a change here, it ripples down to this formula. And because what I pasted here was a text version of what was in this field at the time, this did not automatically update. The minute I fixed this to 12.8, this field updated, this one did not. And because I want to make sure that this is correct, I'm going to go ahead and update this and make sure it, it would just be easier for me to do this. Copy, paste special. There we go. That was much easier. Okay. So I stand corrected. I will update the schema document so that I do not have the schema blank, so I don't have those misleading numbers. So anyway, here we are. That was the one thing I wanted to check before we went ahead and pasted these in. So we have these first 2 lines of code. Let's go look at the blank document that had our instructions in it. And we were doing the add fields. Copy, replace future class name in the beginning column. We've done that. Copy field names, paste special transposed. We did that. Copy domain names. We did that. Copy this. Copy all the final lines of code. Here it says paste into a notepad that already has the header and the first lines of code. That's just because I have an irrational mistrust of what happened of Excel, that if I just copy this and paste it directly into Pro, weird things have happened in the past. So I'm just choosing not to do that. I'm going to copy from here, minimize. I'm going to fire up Notepad, and I happen to have the Notepad Plus. Okay, I'm going to cancel out of that. Sorry. Let me just look for Notepad. Notepad. Here it is. It is up to you to do this or skip this. This is just, I'm going to go find the same. This is just something I do because I often have to make data sets that are so complicated that I like to hold on to this. This is where I stored it, so I'm going to say try add fields. Here it is. Now I'm going to copy from here, and I'm going to do it one line at a time. But let me first do, I don't want to add them all at the same time. You should be able to, but I always like to not, because invariably I've messed up somewhere, which is what happens when you're using code. It's still quicker than doing it manually, but I don't want to get frustrated by a dozen lines. So I copied that. I'm going to paste it here. Here's the first line. Here's the second line. Let's just make sure. Ah, see? What does that mean? It's got the wrong. This is incorrect. I'm so glad. Let me undo that. What happened here? Ah, see what happened is I replaced it here, but not here. This line of code was still from the old sample. Oh. So you always have to be checking along every line of the way. So this was a sample. I shouldn't have done any replacing here. This was just a tip to you guys on how to do this. So yeah, that was kind of dumb. This is what I needed. So I'm just going to take that one line. Sorry about that. If there's one thing I have demonstrated today, that there are many ways to make mistakes here. Let me replace that. Don't need that space. Okay. Let me try that again. I just want to add the first two lines. Paste it. Projects, cabinets, light cabinets. That looks good. Within the light cabinets, it's called electric cabinets. Yes, electric cabinets. I'm adding a field called X coordinate. It's a double 12-8. I feel like maybe I made a mistake and it's going to yell at me because I don't know why it's doing that different color. But here goes nothing. You hit enter once, you hit enter twice, and then it either runs or it yells at you. Didn't yell at me. It might have gone through. Now, how will I confirm? I will go to the electric cabinets data set, open up the table. There we go. It added those two fields. I could have also gone in here and said data design fields. And here, oh, how come it's not showing me those fields? I might just need to refresh or something. I'm not sure. I have had this happen before. It really should be showing it to you here, but that might be an arc. Oh, okay. It just needed to refresh, maybe. There it is. It's showing me. So these two happened well. My confidence is a little bit restored. So I'm now going to go ahead, and I think every time you do this, you do have to, I can now just go ahead. I think if I just did it like this, I'd get an error because I've already run those first two lines, right? So you'd think I could just do the rest of it. I believe it's going to fail, and let's do a test. Oh, maybe I'm incorrect. Maybe it will add them. I thought you had to add these first two lines every time. I think you don't. So I'm just going to make sure XY coordinate, then ECID. Does that seem right? XY coordinate, then ECID. Yeah, it really does look like with a couple of clicks, I managed to add all those fields. We're going to check again. And I know it seemed like a really long time in this training, but that's because I'm spending so much time trying to explain stuff. In real life, this could take as little as 10 minutes, as opposed to a million clicks to do this any other way. Let me just take a look at the fields to make sure they all got added. Yep, and you can see that the domains also got added to those three fields where we had specified domains. Those domains are currently empty, So the next order of business is to add domain codes to those domains. Let's hark back to our schema. These three fields, which we have just created, have had these three domains assigned to them, which we created as step number 1. Each one of these domains now need to be filled with the codes, respective codes. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to add all of these codes to this domain. So we've done the add field. We're going to go back to the schema blank because that's where all the code samples are. This is what we need. We need ArcPy add values to domain. I'm going to copy the name of that because I need to now add a tab here. And I'm just going to add values to domain. There we go. And it's your choice. You could have done this step first before adding the fields. It's kind of up to you how you want to do it. So I've added the field, the spreadsheet. Now, just like how where's the blank one? Here's the blank one. Just like how we copied all these lines of code over, we're going to do the same thing. Here are the instructions on how to use it. Make a copy of this worksheet, delete existing values. It should seem very familiar now. I'm going to go ahead and add it. And I'm just going to add one line of sample because it's not like this has any different types. And then add values to domain, go up here, paste it. Again, right click, column width. I think we've done 20 before to make it more legible. And I'm going to click this corner over here. Double click this so that everything is legible. Now, a lot of our work has become easier. And this time I'm going to remember to only replace stuff here. Or delete that line. This also asks you to specify the workspace. I have that line of code right over here. I'm going to copy that over. This is the exact same data set, right? And now this is where I'm going to copy over from here. Let me delete that. That's the O. And now here, the beginning is you need the data set. You need to have the geodatabase. Again, does this seem about the same as before? Can I just copy over from there? Well, okay, so the difference here is that in this Python code, we had to enter the name of the feature class. Here, you have to enter the name of the geodatabase itself, which we know from here. Lights cabinet.geodatabase. I can copy it from this line of code, or I can open this up. Remember, the domains are in the geodatabase. I can just go to the properties here and copy it from here. It's all the same. There are many ways for you to get this information. So the first thing over here is to replace the geodatabase. Now, I can go over the syntax of this code real quick. It's kind of simple. Whereas here, it was add field management in table field name. Here, it's add coded value to domain. So the actual domain must exist. You must create the domain before you run this code. It's going to add a coded value to a domain. The parameters you need to specify is the in workspace, the workspace being the actual name of the geodatabase, domain name, like basically it's saying which domain would you like me to add values to. Then the actual code. The code is what is the actual value on the picked list. And then the code description can be what is the meaning of this code. Now, I right now recommend that you let the code and the code description be exactly the same thing. Don't actually have a wordy one just because it can get a little confusing at times, but feel free to experiment on your own. What happens when you do put in an actual description, a code description. So there we go. We have the light cabinet. That's that first parameter, the in workspace. This one is all the values in a domain should have the same domain name. So let me hop onto the schema. This is the first one we're doing, the municipality, right? Let me copy that. That is the name of the domain, because I know that when I made the domain in ArcPRO, I had copied that same name over. Remember? If I went and looked at the domains, there it is. It's called municipality. It's exactly the same. So that's the name of the domain. Next thing is just a connector. There's nothing for me to do here. The coded value, copy, paste from pick list and schema sheet. So let me hop on over to the municipal. This one I don't even have to transpose. If you're wondering how I did that with one click, you can select the first one, hold down the shift key and use your down arrow to go one at a time. But while you have the shift key held down, if you also hold down the control key and hit down, it'll take you to the end of the list. It's a nice shortcut. So I'm going to control C to copy that. Come over here, copy paste from pick list. So that's this. I'm going to control V. There it is. Now once this is here, so remember this is the code, and then this is just going to be the text, and this is going to be the code description. Remember how I was saying you want to keep it the same? So I'm going to, again, I pick the top row, I'm holding down Shift, Control, the down arrow key. Oh, that made me do something weird. Shift, Control, down arrow key, help me pick the whole list. I'm doing Control C to put it in my memory, scrolling up, let it be exactly the same. And at this point, well, all of these three are the same. All of these are getting added to the same domain. So I'm going to Control C this. I selected the first cell here in Excel. I'm using my scroll bar to go down. This is where I need to end. Oh, goodness. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. But here we go. And now if I do Control V, it filled in the blank here with exactly this. We didn't need to change that. Now I have to do the same thing here. Maybe I'll just do it this way this time. There we go. Last one. And this has to be copied and pasted, and this has to be copied and pasted too. Why don't I do it at the same time? And now the only thing left to do is remember how this actually contains the function. So I need to copy the whole thing. And this time I need to paste in the neighboring one, but I need to right click and only paste the values. And I think I'm going to wrap this so it looks a little better. I like to keep up with the formatting just so it's easy to me. Why did the wrap not take? Oh, because I undid it, that's why. And that should be it. Let me select this. And what is the count here? 88? There were 88 names. So I'm not going to bother to add that up here because I already know I'm going to do a notepad for it. So I'm going to open up a new notepad. Yep, save that. And I'm going to... What happened? Well, first I need these two lines. In the new notepad. And then, and this is where the Control Shift down arrow key helps a lot because it spares me a lot of scrolling. And that should do it. So let's just, again, just for the sake of not being frustrated, let me check that against the syntax. Add coded value to domain, add coded value to domain. In workspace, that's the geodatabase. The domain name is that, all of it is that. That's the code, and the description is the same. I can see brackets are closed. Is this correct? Lights cabinet. Yep. So I'm just going to save this again. Because if something went wrong and I had to redo it, I would have it all saved in Notepad. Okay, so here goes nothing. I'm going to go back here and we're going to run, and I'm going to run it all this time. ArcPy, check, check, check. And hit enter once, hit enter a second time, and it's yelling at me. Line 3 in module, false. It says add raise E, convert to object in workspace domain name, true. So what I do, it says the workspace does not exist. Error 00535. You could always look into, Google this. It's telling me I made a mistake in this first line of the workspace not existing. So I obviously did not pay attention to the directions here. Let me just take a look at this again. Workspace. You see what it says in the sample? Am I the right one? Add values to domain. I was not supposed to go all the way up to the geodatabase. Here, it had to go to the folder that holds the geodatabase. But what did I do? If you look at this, not even sure. Oh, here. I went all the way up to the geodatabase. What I needed to have done, delete here. Take a look at the sample again. Does it have to have the /? No, no /. So I need to, that was a mistake. I made it go all the way up to the geodatabase. The workspace in this case is what contains the geodatabase that the code is going to be working on. Let me just replace it over here, because that was kind of a bad. So it's not too hard to fix your errors if you just go back and make sure. All right, let's try this again. Control everything, Control C, Control A selects everything, Control V, enter once, enter again. Let's see, there could be some other error somewhere else, and it might stop me. But we will see. It seems to be chugging. And then while this is happening, let's go set up our other couple ones. So you could keep adding to the end of this. Everything is perfectly configured here. All you have to do here is you can add more lines now, and the only thing that's going to change now is municipality is going to get replaced by county. That's the next one we want to do. So let's go over here. Oh, what happened? Sorry, schema. It's going to be county. It's going to be the next domain we want to add to. And the values are going to be much shorter. I'm going to paste them here. I'm going to paste them here again, since I know the description is going to be the same. Then I'm going to copy and paste this here, copy and paste that here. And I'm going to copy this whole thing and paste it down like that. Take this, pull it down like that. These two are the same. For all of these lines, I'm going to pull it down like that. And I'm going to take all of these, Control C, put it here, right click, paste special, wrap it. I'm going to give it a different color so that I know this is a different domain. Control C that, take it here, at this point, I'm going to replace all of the municipalities with this, and I'm going to save as, because I don't want to delete the municipality thing. And what was the name of this again? County, right? This way I have the notepad for this separate. And let me put this in my memory. And as I go back and check, looks like it was happy with me. Let me go ahead and do this, and then we can check them all at one go. This should happen quicker. Yep. While we're doing this, I think it's working. Let's go ahead and add the third one. So you have an example to see how we do this again. Go back to the schema. Electric utility company is the next one we're doing. Only there's a space here. Is that how we did it in the domain? I'm somehow uncertain if I don't spell it correctly. Oh yeah, it does have a space in it. Okay, I'm just going to copy it from the domain. No, I have to go to, here we go. Add values to domain. That's the name of the the domain. Go back to the schema. What is the list? This is the list of domain fields. Control C. Is this the right place? Yep. Paste it here. Paste it there. Copy that one down. Copy that one down. So that we have a whole block, which I can now easily copy down until there. Take that. Copy it down. These two are the same. Copy it down. This is now automatically stitched together all these important parts. Copy that. Paste special values there. Wrap text. Give it a different color. So if I look back, I'll know this is a different domain. Control C that. Take it here. Again, it's going to be exactly the same from here onwards. So there we go. Save this, and this is for, what is this called again? Electrical utility cabinets. And domain. What? Utility company. Let's get this. Control A to select it all. Control C to copy it. Any errors? Don't see any errors. Assuming it went through. Okay. And with that, I think we should be done. I'm going to turn this off because it doesn't automatically refresh. There might be some refresh something somewhere. But we'll take a look. I think this means this is done. So let's go take a look. Now remember that the domains are reside in the geodatabase. The fields reside in here, and this is the folder, and it's showing all these text files that I just saved. So let's go over there. Domain. Look at the domains, and now if you look on the side over here. Here's the name of all the counties. You can see they got added. The electric utility companies got added. The municipalities got added. I guess we haven't done the power feed yet. I don't feel the need to. And with that, I think we're done. And now, just to make sure everything works together, because I am just immensely skeptical when things go smoothly, and even with all the glitches, this was smooth. I'm gonna, it would be good if I could go ahead and add something to this. So for that, I think I have to go into Gianna. I haven't been in ArcPRO for a while. I think I have to go, right? I have to create a feature template. There we go. And now I'm going to add something in the ocean so that I know it's rubbish data to delete later. I've done this, and now I want to add attributes to this point. And what I'm expecting is when I go to municipality, there should be a drop down. Bingo! When I go to county, there should also be a drop down. When I go to electric utilities, there should be a drop down. Now, to do your due diligence, you should really compare this against your schema document and make sure everything went through. But the beauty of doing this through code is, it should be fine. And then the one thing I want to check is for this. Oh, I didn't go that far, the date field. Okay, and then if I apply this, and then save, right, to get out of this. Gianna, how do I just get to query mode again? Oh, here. The edit ribbon, do a save, and now I don't want to be in create mode anymore. How do I? Anyway, I was gonna click on that to make sure that the attributes are there. Got it. Perfect. So I had to click on map, and now if I click on that, I should have a pop-up. I am. Anyway, I'm gonna just delete that point. Or is it deleting the data? No, yeah, it's deleting the point. Oh, I just added another one. Oh, goodness. Okay. Anyway, I just keep dropping points here because my ArcPRO skills are rusty. But anyway, that is the end. And if there are any questions, feel free to please get in touch. I'm at Chandreyee.Lahiri at mass.gov. And I think that is in this introduction right here. That's my email. All right, I'm going to end the recording now.